Today I'm going to make my favorite drink of the moment. It is a classic tiki drink created by Don the Beachcomber in the 1940s. It's called 3 Dots and a Dash, and it just so happens to share its name with an absolutely incredible tiki bar out in Chicago that I had the extreme privilege of having a very fine time in just a couple of weeks ago. So first off, like many tiki drinks, this one has several versions that are floating around out there. I happen to be making the one from Jeff Beachbum's Sippin' Safari. Yes, my page is marked with a bar spoon at the moment. This is a essential tiki guide. I strongly encourage you to pick up a copy. I'll put the links in the places. I love this book. And as far as I know, the Beachbum more or less rediscovered this drink and put it back into print in this book. So if I'm off on that, I apologize. So let's do it. The 3 Dots and a Dash as printed in the Sippin' Safari book. This drink starts with lime juice, like many tiki drinks that are out there. So let's get that going on. Here's the deal. I will be shaking this drink. I think traditionally speaking, it should be done in like a spindle mixer or a drink mixer or whatever you want to call that thing. I have one of those. It is a very large professional version, which you would think is what you would want for a show like this, except it is huge. It won't even fit under a cabinet. It's too much. I got to get like a smaller version to put in here. That one lives in my kitchen for making drinks for myself and friends. As a result of that, I will be shaking this drink, but truth be told, texture-wise, by the time it gets into your mug or your glass, I don't think there's a huge amount of difference between a drink that has been shaken on crushed ice or spindled on crushed ice. Spindling is faster. I think that has something to do with it, but I do, when I'm in the kitchen, use the spindle mixer for authenticity purposes, and I will be in the future getting one for the show. I just don't have it today. So here we go. Half an ounce of lime juice. It's gonna be bad news if we start knocking stuff over. Okay, there we go. Half an ounce of lime juice. Keep that guy handy, keep that guy handy. I added a shelf down here. I'm giving myself presents lately because not only is my birthday coming up, but the 10th anniversary of the show is coming up. So what did I get for the show's birthday? I got a couple speed rails to clear off these shelves, and I gave myself another shelf down here. Sometimes you gotta give yourself a little gift. You know, every day, give yourself a present. I learned that from Agent Dale Cooper. So next thing up, we need half an ounce of honey mix. Got to get used to having speed rails. Half an ounce of honey mix. This is kind of messy on top, isn't it? Honey mix is really nothing more than honey and water combined so that the honey becomes easy to pour. Otherwise, it'll stick to your everything and it stinks. You can't measure it as easily. Most people will say do 1 to 1, so 1 part honey, 1 part honey, 1 part water. I've seen other bartenders say you really want to do 3 to 1, 4 to 1. Really just as little water as you can get away with to make that honey pour. This is probably 2 to 1. I kind of eyeballed it. Yes, some people are saying, do you rebalance the drink? No, it just tastes better because the honey is a little bit more concentrated. The difference is minute. Some extremely a very fastidious bartender might, but I also don't know off the top of my head and I don't know that anybody really, somebody knows this, Beachbum knows this, some other people may know this, but like the exact ratio of honey to water that the Beachcomber was using when he invented this drink, I don't know. Again, I'm gonna fall back to my old standard. If the drink tastes good and you like the drink, that's good. Which brings me to my next question, Falernum. This drink calls for Falernum. Now, there are basically right now 2 schools of thought on Falernum. Well, there are 2 traditions of Falernum. I've been looking into this because I want to do a whole episode on Falernum, and this is how they go. There is what I think we might call Barbados-style Falernum, which, to my knowledge, John D. Taylor's is maybe the only example on the market. And this is essentially a sweetened rum liqueur that has, you know, like maybe some lime zest, some ginger, and some allspice in it. But it's a very mild, subtle flavor. A lot of people, if you look around the internet, complain like, I put the Velvet Falernum in this drink. It seems to do nothing for it. And there is another style of Falernum, which is sometimes alcoholic, sometimes not. This is Avoine Falernum liqueur. And this is, I mean, you can just tell by the color, is a way more heavily spiced product, okay? This one is kind of low proof. What is it, like 22%? So it's not the lowest proof, it's a full liqueur. It's not like 4% or something like that. It'll be shelf stable at 22%. It's got a lot of allspice. It's got a lot of ginger notes. It's got a lot of everything in it. It's just a way louder flavor. I was looking through Mr. Beach Bum's book to see which one he was of the mind to use. He did not reference Velvet Falernum, and I think if he had wanted to use that, he would have. In fact, he referenced his own particular brand of Falernum, which I do not have. Honestly, I didn't even know he made one, so now I do. And since it's not Velvet Falernum, I assume it's this kind of Falernum, which is great because this is the one I like anyway. This is the one that I think is just better in drinks, this style of Falernum. B.G. Reynolds makes one, apparently Beach Bum. I don't actually know, have had his, but I assume it's significantly different from John D. Taylor's. But Beach Bum Berry makes a Falernum. Avua makes one. I think I've been told about this one, Maggie's Farm. I should get my hands on all of them because I do want to do an episode on making my own Falernum in the near future, and it probably makes sense to have like all of them on hand. We need a 1/4 ounce of this. I sure just talked a lot about Falernum, guys. Hey, what does the name mean? So for a long time, I thought it was a reference to Falernian, which is a vintage of wine that Pliny the Elder raved about, and which he claims you could set on fire, which is crazy because distillation was pretty freaking rare, and to set it on fire, it would have to be, 40% alcohol at minimum, pretty much. Generally speaking, 50%, which is, a lot of distillation. I find that to be suspicious. However, how else would he know it burned? I don't know. Long story short, it might be a reference to Falernian, but it might also be a really cool, I love this etymology. Somebody supposedly asked a woman, a cook, like a lady in the Barbados in, I guess, the early part of the 20th century. I don't know the exact time and place. That's actually not important to the story. And they asked her, how do you make this delicious thing that you're serving me? And she said, have to learn them. But in her Barbadian accent, which I don't think I can reproduce, came out, or it was heard as Falernum. I love that. I don't know that that's true. I think that that's probably not true, but it's a way cooler story than it's a reference to Pliny the Elder's favorite wine. So I'm going to go with Falernum, which was her way of saying it's a secret recipe. I ain't telling you that. The next thing we need is a 1/4 ounce of Pimento Dram. Oh, I overpoured. That's a 1/2 ounce. That's okay. We can just drink half of that. No, we can't. That's way too much. That's too powerful. Potion seller, your potions are too powerful. Okay, there we go. 1/4 ounce of Pimento Dram. Powerful flavor. Woo! And I love it, but I was just drinking a 1/4 ounce of that straight to be a bit much at the moment. Now we get into our rum. We want 1.5 ounces of Martinique rum. Agricole rum, either way you slice it. I'm using Sant rum, 1.5 ounces. Truth be told, right, I get bottles sent to me in the mail because of this show. Sometimes I have many bottles that I've purchased, but sometimes I get bottles sent in the mail, and this one came in the mail, and for all I know, I'm using some outrageously top shelf rum right now. I don't know what this costs. I know I like it a lot. And you'll find it on Curiata probably at drink.curiata.com. The other rum we need is an aged Demerara. The one that I happen to have on hand is an Eldorado 12-year. Demerara rums all come from the same distillery in Guyana, whatever brand they are. Many distilleries, by the way, support many brands and bottlings. That is kind of how this works. Distilleries are large industrial operations for the most part, and are fewer and farther between than you might believe. And so they can be producing many different bottlings of rum from there, and different brands even. Eldorado is one such. 12 years is pretty aged, so I think this fits the bill, aged Demerara rum. Lemon Heart is the other probably prime Demerara rum brand that I can think of. And then, of course, Hamilton, Ed Hamilton's Ministry of Rum, has their own bottlings from the distillery. And I bet there's others, I just wouldn't know them off the top of my head. 1.5 ounces of aged Demerara rum. And Le Piste de Resistance, a single dash of Angostura bitters. Before I started shooting today, I used my little hand-cranked ice crusher to crush up some ice. Put that guy in there. Zippity-doo-dah. give this thing like a quick shake. Kind of trying to reproduce something like 5 seconds in a flash mixer or in a spindle mixer. Now I need my tiki mug, and I love this tiki mug. This tiki mug comes literally from 3 Dots and a Dash in Chicago. It has this beautiful skull theme on it. It was produced by Tiki Farm and designed by Derek Mawson, apparently, in 2016. Skull motif, the name of 3 Dots and a Dash and their location right on the back. The skull motif is a thing that you'll see as you enter 3 Dots and a Dash, so it really carries that theme. I love this mug, and I've got a story about it, which I'm coming to as soon as I can put it in my hand with a drink. Here we go. Pour your drink in. No, we don't need to strain. Top that up with some ice. Now we get to the garnish of this drink, which is more or less non-negotiable. It is its namesake, 3 Dots and a Dash. 3 Dots and a Dash is Morse code for the letter V. And I actually knew that before I knew that for this drink, because I used to be the editor for a nonprofit called the 3 Dot Dash Foundation, which was pretty cool, actually. It was my first like semi-full-time editing job, and I needed that job, so that was a good job. Anyway, 3 Dots and a Dash stands for the letter V, V for victory, and this drink was invented during World War II. I don't know the exact year, as like sort of a let's get 'em boys kind of a cocktail. So we have to make our 3 Dots and a Dash. To do that, we need some cherries and a chunk of pineapple. So we're gonna do, from your perspective, it would, I know this thing, hold on a second. Boop, 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 boop. Right, okay. So I wanna do it like this. Here is my, oh, wait. Da-da-da-da, okay. I wanna do my cherries first. I'm in the process of making my homemade cherries. I tested them before I shot this. They're not really ready for the task. And I'm out of Luxardo cherries, which would have been my preferred ones. I do have some like bright neon American style maraschino cherries. I don't know, there's a part of me that thinks they would have looked cool, but I'm gonna go with these Amarena cherries that are pretty good. Not my favorite, but they'll work for our purposes. Except for that one. Well, they might not. They might not have the structural integrity to do the job. We slide those up there, perfect. Eat the one that's stuck to my spoon. We take our chunk of pineapple. There you have your 3 Dots and a Dash. They do that garnish just a little bit differently at the bar, but that is kind of more traditional. However, there's also usually a pineapple frond to go with that. Guess what? The pineapples, they're all out of pineapples at my grocery store, so I couldn't get some fresh ones. My pineapple fronds have turned brown and I can't use them. I did just find out that you can actually freeze pineapple fronds for use as garnishes, and I will be doing that in the future, so I will not run out of pineapple fronds again. In a desire to get a little bit of green on there, we're gonna throw some mint up there, which is maybe not standard, but hey, I always like some mint on top of my drink. Put a veritable forest in the back of this drink. And there we have 3 Dots and a Dash. Oh, well, you do need a straw to drink it. So how is this drink? It is funky, got a lot of allspice notes in here. It is just blasting you with allspice, rum funk, and that sharp bite of lime. It's a tasty drink. It's really balanced. It is not overly sweet. Some people might actually want this a little bit sweeter, and there's nothing stopping you from putting, in my opinion, a 1/4 ounce of orgeat in there or something like that to round it out a little bit, but I like it with these kind of hard, allspicey edges on it. Refreshing, delicious, and frankly, intense. Loving it. So, I said I would have a little story about this drink, and I do. I had to go out to Chicago, and there was a couple of spots I wanted to hit up out there while I was there, one of which was 3 Dots and a Dash, and we did, and we had a phenomenal time. The drinks were great, and while I was there, I walked into the Bamboo Room, which wasn't open for the night, and ran into 3 of the guys who were managing the place. They were working on the schedule or something like that. Hit it off with a guy, Tyler, who is the bar manager. He invited me to come back and mic him up, and we did a little interview and talked tiki stuff, and that content will be appearing probably in a couple of episodes going forward. I hope that Tyler will become a friend of the show. In fact, I know he will. After we had a great chat with Tyler, we went back to another table. This is me and my missus. And a few minutes after ordering, Tyler came running in. I hope he doesn't mind me telling this story. And frankly, Tyler, I don't care. This is the coolest thing that ever could have happened to me. This is just like, really warmed my heart. It was a very touching night for me. He came in and asked me, showing me his phone, "Is that you?" Showing me, how to drink. And I said, "Yeah, that's me. Of course it's me." He's like, "I didn't recognize you without this on. I didn't, I started watching your videos when I was 21 years old and became a bartender because of them." Which, first off, if you're a person who watched my videos and decided to become a bartender, I hope I have not steered you astray. I hope that worked out for you. It did work out for Tyler, obviously. He's doing very well running 3 dots and a dash, which is so cool to me. And I'm sitting there looking around the bar, and it's full of happy people having a great time. And I'd had a few drinks, and I couldn't feel a certain sense of overwhelming, I'm gonna say gravitas. I don't know if that's the word or not, but like, he's running the bar, and on some level, he's responsible for the joy that is centered there and spreading from there and happening in that place. And he's telling me that none of that would have happened if not for my show, I guess. And sometimes I feel like, what am I, like, that I should be doing something cooler to make the world a better place, because all I do is sit here and make drinks like an idiot for the internet. And a little moment like that can actually realign me, I guess, and make me feel like maybe I am making some corners of the world a better place, and that there is some cosmic merit to this silly cocktail show that I make. It was a very powerful and heavy moment for myself. And also the drinks were excellent. Really good. If you have the ability to get your butt into 3 dots and a dash, please do it and tell Tyler that Greg sent you. Also give him a follow on Instagram. Believe it or not, Instagram followings can be a pretty important thing for bartenders too, just people working in the industry. When you go to tiki bars like 3 dots and a dash, they'll always have a little shop there selling t-shirts and merch, and usually they're mugs, which is cool. Tiki mugs like this are pretty pricey, but I didn't actually have to pay for this one. I'm not ashamed to admit that. In fact, Tyler brought it over to the table in a box with a little message written on it. I'm gonna have this framed and hung up either in the bar, or I'm gonna have this, there's a damn gnat flying around in here. Tyler brought this over to the table in a box with a message written on it, and I'm going to have this framed and stuck on the wall of a tiki bar that I am building in my house as a gift to myself. There's definitely going to be content following that development. That'll be an ongoing process. I've wanted a tiki bar for a really long time, and I mean a tiki bar. I've convinced my wife that I need to recreate the Enchanted Tiki Room, or Trader Sam's, whatever. And certainly this will be part of my... I don't know, it's one of the coolest things I ever got from the show, honestly. This really is touching. It says, well, I'm embarrassed to read it, so I don't even know if this is gonna make the edit. "Thank you for helping me find my confidence in my career. Keep inspiring people, Tyler Maclellan." I guess, I don't know. I'm gonna connect all these thoughts right now. I don't know who you are or what you're doing, but if you're feeling like maybe it's not important or it's frivolous, I don't think that's true, actually. I think that if you are doing something you love and you're doing it with love, then maybe that love kind of oozes out of what you do and spreads out into the universe in a positive way. I think that is valid and awesome and sort of, I don't know, one of our great superpowers as people on this planet. I don't know, I've never been more proud of the show. Thank you, Tyler, for inspiring me and filling me with the confidence to do what I'm doing. See, it's like it's a feedback loop. It's good for everybody. It goes all the way around. I don't know, I guess that's it, man. Follow your dreams and do what you love, and the world will sort it out, and it will be good for everybody. I like this idea of doing my favorite drink of the moment. I'm probably going to do more of something like this. And I'm definitely going to be building a tiki bar in my house, and I'll definitely be posting some content about that. Probably a lot more on my Patreon. If you're interested in that behind the scenes kind of stuff, that'll be over there. Some of it will definitely make it over to short form content and over here on HTD, but that's going to be it's going to be kind of an adventure. I'm very excited about that. See you guys next time.